Hello, we're live. Welcome to tonight's examination of the great and stunningly fabulous, just kidding, Miller 64. Well, okay. This beer was so exciting. You can see all the people that joined. I want to give a shout out to two of my usual viewers, Stuart and Bart. Thank you. And there's other people that watch regularly, but they may not comment. So Stuart and Bart, shout out. Jean-Pierre wanted to join. He bought the beer, but he said he had to work. He didn't think he would make it. I told him, well, jump on if you're able to. And the Brood dude who started doing videos recently, he wanted to join, but he had to work. Also, so, and I guess nobody else was too interested in it. This beer is certified kosher, in case you need to know that. This beer gives you some, I bought a 6-pack at Dorgnax. It was like $6.49, not super cheap, right? I can get a whole 12-pack of Miller High Life for that same price, and that has more body, more character, more everything. But some people like these ultra lights. Certified kosher, 2.8% alcohol, 2.8. You can give it to the kids. Joking, of course, but it's so light. 64 calories, 2.4 grams of carbs, 0 fat, half a gram of protein. No additives or preservatives. Brewed by Miller Brewing Company, which is a subsidiary as of October 11th of, a little smoke, of Molson Coors. If you click on the SAB Miller website, it'll direct you to Anheuser, more smoke, more vapor, Anheuser-Busch InBev. The SAB Miller website no longer exists because the company no longer exists. All the SAB, most of the SAB assets were purchased by Anheuser-Busch InBev. They cast off, they sold, that was $103 billion, the biggest beer business transaction ever, the 4th largest business transaction of any sort in history. Attractive bottle and an attractive can if you ever see the can. Apparently this may be sold on draft, but I've never seen it. No kind of head, really just a little bit of white foam. It's super clear, ultra clear. I was looking at it when I was drinking it in this room during the daytime. It's dusk now, but a few days ago, it's so light, so pale. The aroma is a little pungent. It's kind of semi-sweet. Actually, the aroma is nice. It has a much better smell than the taste. It's not that the taste is bad. It's that it almost doesn't exist. I know Justin Sharp, he likes to join us for these ultralights. He said he liked this beer because he has this really strict weightlifting regimen, and he said for him it's like a perfect beer. But I believe he contacted me on Facebook, said he had to work or something, or there was some reason he was disappointed. But anyway, enough of that. I see we have some viewers. Hello, viewers. It was 10 and dropped to 8. All right, but those things will fluctuate. So it's a pretty bottle. It has the best by date November 2016. It's got the date, guys. It's an embossed bottle. Miller 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on it. 4 times. Yeah, 4. So the aroma is nice. The flavor is just so neutral. What's bad about it? There's nothing bad specifically about the flavor. I can't really imagine anybody tasting this and saying, oh, it's so bad. But I can imagine people like myself saying, oh, it's so lacking. It almost literally tastes like water. A little bit slightly sour, slightly grainy water, like the most watered down beer. The body, as you can imagine, is so thin, and the finished dough is crisp. It's refreshing. I mean, you could drink a 6-pack. I really think you could guzzle a 6-pack and you would not feel it. Maybe just a little bit effect from alcohol, but I can't think it would be too much. So, la-di-da. They bought, Anheuser-Busch InBev bought SAB. They wanted their African beers, and SAB had an enormous array of African beers like Carling Black Label, which is made in America by Pabst, and you can find it lurking in the dark corners of the beer world. In South Africa, I believe it's the #1 beer brand, Carling Black Label, and I think it's 5%, or it might be 5.5. There might be there's like a Carling Black Label, and there's like a Super Strong, I'm not sure. But they sponsor all kind of soccer tournaments and everything. It's huge down there. It's big in England, but they dropped Black Label for some reason, and it's just called Carling, and it's a different recipe. It's like 4.8 in England, Great Britain. But that's an example. They wanted the Foster's. Foster's is a huge beer in India, and the Hayward's 5,000. All these, it's just a myriad. It's unbelievable. And they're South American beers. Anheuser-Busch InBev had almost no presence in Africa, so they wanted that. They didn't care about the Miller beers, really, because they have a whole lineup that mimics that. They have malt liquors. They have light beers. They have ultralight beers. You know, I'm talking about Anheuser-Busch. They have regular beers. So they don't need duplication. They have enough of that already. Molson Coors was already in combination with Miller through their Miller Coors joint venture. So they just assumed ownership, complete ownership. And Molson Coors is a 50-50 combination, okay? It's Pete Coors on one end and this Molson guy on the other. So it's a very big beer company. So now they bought Miller. The breweries, all the assets, you know, the brewing facilities, the recipes, the brands. Now to comply with regulatory stipulations in Europe and America, Anheuser-Busch had to agree to cast off some of those brands that they may have wanted, like Grolsch, I think Pilsner Urquell, possibly, I believe it was, Peroni. They cast those off to, I think Asahi bought those in Japan. And if I'm not mistaken, Asahi is part of a bigger, you know, like company. It might, I don't think it's Mitsubishi, but like Mitsubishi owns Sapporo, right? Unibrew. I mean, this is a big, you have these multiplex companies. They're so complicated. You can hardly figure out who owns what with some of these. It's the same with wine and spirits. And then you'll have part ownership, like, well, I was looking at the Hennessy, I believe in it, or the Courvoisier, one of them, and they say, well, who are the people? It was like Suntory owns some of it, and this Hennessy company, and this other French company, and Diageo has an interest. So it's okay. So anyway, going forward until everything changes again, we have Miller. If you get a Miller beer, it's under the thumb, the complete ownership of Molson Coors. Okay, that's the way it goes. So now these are your big beer companies now, right? Anheuser-Busch InBev, they're #1, control over 1/4 of the world's beer market. And most of the American beer market, you say, no, it's only 46%. But you got to understand they own all the Corona, Grupo Modelo stuff, just not inside the United States, because they had to come up with this legal thing where it's owned by Constellation Brands, but they still own Grupo Modelo, so it's actually a majority of the American beer market. But whatever, you got Anheuser-Busch #1 in the world, Anheuser-Busch InBev, and then you've got your Heineken, Molson Coors, Diageo, Carlsberg Group. And that is those five. It must be at least, what is that, 90% of the beer in the world. Something like that. It's an enormously, almost mind-boggling number. I do miss the SAB Miller website because they would show these beers, like when I'm drinking here, and then they would give you a breakdown of the Cyclops scale. Sweetness, they give the appearance and other things, and then they would talk about how many out of 5 sugar cubes in sweetness, how many out of 5 hop cones in sweetness, and I don't see that on the Anheuser-Busch InBev website. And another deal with Anheuser-Busch InBev, I noticed, they'll have the same, like they'll say, we have Foster's, we own Foster's, okay? And you can click on it, and it has a really nice, I mean, they spent big money on this website. You know, they had it all prepped, so just the timer was set. As soon as midnight hit on October 11, 2016, it would exist, like that new revamped website. And they'll list a lot of brands, but not nearly all of them, okay? Because it's dozens of brands they'll list on their website, but it might be thousands that they own, right? And then you'll click on Foster's, really nice looking photo of it, and it'll describe a little history of Foster's and everything. But they showed this guy drinking in India, you know, like there's a guy drinking this red Foster's. They don't say anything about that. They're just talking about the regular Foster's. There's this super strong Foster's in India. I think it's called Foster's Gold. Some high gravity malt liquor. It's like, well, why don't you talk about that? Miller did. They would list it, and then you could click. And but Anheuser-Busch does have links to all their hundreds, or I think it's hundreds of country dedicated websites. You know, Anheuser-Busch InBev Germany. You click on that, you better have hours to spend. Because you get on their Deutschland website, and it's just brand. And then it'll list all kind of history of each brand, and you can click, and then the brand might have a website, and then it'll list all the sub-brands. It's just incredible. All right, this beer, you say, well, you're talking about other stuff. Yeah, well, because I was drinking water this afternoon. I was drinking lots of water. And honestly, this isn't that much different than the water. So the question is, would you buy it again? We always ask that question. I would not even buy, I wouldn't have bought it in the first place. The only reason I bought it was for us to examine it. I say us, in other words, me this time. But if you want to buy it, go ahead. Don't feel bad about it. I was talking to the salesman, local Miller salesman here, and I said, he don't want me to say his name. But I said, but now some of these other guys tell me, you can say my name, but he doesn't, so I won't. I said, how does Miller 64 do? He says, it's okay. This store here, it's not too good. We sell 12 packs. Walmart, they have the cans and the 12 packs. It does pretty well over there. He said the store up down the highway, downriver, down the U.S. Highway 61, about 10 miles away. He said, yeah, it's really hot there for some reason. I said, how does it do? I know it's trying to compete with Michelob Ultra. How does it stack up against that? Oh, no. He said, no. It can't touch that. I mean, that gets way more sales. Michelob Ultra has more flavor, more body, more character. Really, what this is trying to compete against is not Michelob Ultra. And before I go into that, I'll only say real fast, this originated as MGD 64. You might remember years ago, there was a beer called Miller Genuine Draft Light. Then around, I guess 2002 or 3, around when these ultra and the low carb thing was going. They redid it, and it was Miller Genuine Draft 64 calories. Okay. But then suddenly, around 4 years ago, it became Miller 64. And I was thinking about this. I said, I bet you I know what happened. Someone either sent them an email or called them, or some legal team said, we are damaged because we don't think this beer is draft. It is not a packaged draft beer, but you're calling it MGD 64. That means Miller Genuine Draft. And I think it's pasteurized. And this is a tort, and I'm damaged, and I might need money, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe Miller said, SAB Miller said, you know what? Okay, it's Miller 64. That could have been a reason. It might have been a marketing reason, just because MGD itself has died out so bad that it's practically dead, really. No more TV commercials. A website that doesn't work. A Facebook page that hasn't been updated in 2 years. A dead brand. So I have an ultralight version of a dead brand, essentially dead brand. So Miller itself is still popular, right? Miller High Life, such a hugely popular beer. Miller High Life Light has its following. So that might have been the real reason. I don't know. No one from Miller's ever called me and said, here's why we did this. But you better get ready if you're interested in these weird little brands, because in about 2 weeks, it may be less, 3 weeks, I'm thinking 3 weeks at the most, could happen tomorrow. I keep looking. They told me it's in the warehouse already, but they're waiting to clear out what they've got. I was shown the picture. I said, aha, that's the label I was working on. Well, it's different than the labels I was working on, because when I got the alert, because I'm on this little thing with Miller beer, no, that might be gone now, but as of Tuesday, but they would, this going on for like 10 years, they would send me stuff and say, oh, you want to be on this consulting panel? And what do you think about these different designs, beer designs, you know, label designs? And so I would look at them. Oh, this looks good. Why do you think it looks good? What's wrong with it? What do you think should be improved? Whatever. And it goes on for maybe, sometimes it could be an hour, it seems like. And then 6 months later or a year later, the new label will come out. And I knew that was going to happen with Miller High Life, because years ago they said, what do you think about Miller High Life? I said, it looks fine to me. You know, do you think it should be changed? And I didn't really think so. But then all of a sudden the new labels came out, and I said, yeah, I remember looking at that one. So they give you a whole series. You know, they have artists that design. I'm drawing right now. They probably do it on a computer. But so this, I'm going to go get another beer in a second. But this new thing now, this is not like one beer they're redoing. Do you hear what I'm telling you? This is a whole line that they're redoing. And that's all I cannot talk about it. But when you see it, and you're going to see it. And it's not just label, okay? But I can't, okay, but when you see it, you're going to be like, either you're going to laugh because you say, that's Louisiana Beer Reviews with his bizarre interest in these type of things, or you're going to say, oh yeah, it's on. And he said he worked on it, and I can't believe it. Well, I just want to see it in real life, because I've seen it in a secret. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but I was very impressed. Let me say that to you. But I'm not impressed with this. This is not bad, but it is not anything. Why would somebody buy this thing? But they buy it. Believe me, people buy it. They buy it. They buy it. And apparently they enjoy it, and I don't get it. I'm going to go grab something that's way better, and I'm going to talk for a few minutes, and then I'm going to get off of this internet. And then I want to tell you some interesting news, or you might find it terribly disinteresting. If you want to experience even more blahness, even more depressing sadness, like let's say next Wednesday you're feeling down in the dumps. Well, if you watch next Wednesday's examination, you'll probably feel even worse, because we're going to look at Michelob Ultra Amber. Okay, so just remember, next Wednesday, if you're feeling bad and depressed, join us and you're going to probably feel a whole lot worse. Just like tonight, you probably said, I'm not feeling so good. I've had a hard week and I got a lot of things to work on and figure out. Then you just watched me drink this Miller 64. Now you probably got a lot more things to figure out and you feel a lot worse. But I warned you, because I said it on the post, that it would be depressing and sad. But this is not. This is Balentine Burton Ale. And I bought this in June. And I've been saving it. And it's from last year. And that won't matter, because this beer, oh my goodness, is 11.3% alcohol. And it's 75 IBU. Yeah, and it's a Christmas special brew. Bought a whole 6-pack. It was like $13, but it was about the best value in the history of craft beer, I think. Cold Spring, Minnesota. There's a craft brewery there, and they contract brew specialty beers for Pabst. Balentine IPA. And this Balentine IPA died out in the late 90s. This died out sometime in the 90s. They said, why do we not make these exceptionally good beers? There's more to the beer world than Pabst Blue Ribbon. So they brought this back. 1930s, they came up with this special brew. Aged up to 20 years in American oak. They have some people that supposedly have bottles from the 1940s that they're saving. Well, it says season's greetings. Yep, season's greetings. It's October. The oak essence and the notes of toasted vanilla make it the perfect holiday treat. Sweet yet strong, yet balanced. Sweet, strong yet balanced by a robust hop character, true to the Balentine name. Now, David in Jefferson, Louisiana, you know who you are. We drink at your house sometimes. We've recorded videos that we've never been able to post for a number of reasons. You had one of these in your fridge that I gave you, and you're aging it, and you said you're going to pop it open pretty soon when it starts getting cold. If that ever happens, will it get cold this year? Okay. So I got to drink this. I got to have a good counterpoint to the thinness. All right. So I should have that Pabst Blue Ribbon glass, but it'll work. 11.3. What will I say now? Could be anything. But I'm bringing this up because, you know what? I wanted to drink it. I'm not looking to age this. And if I see it again, I'll buy it. I never saw it until I went to the grocery store in Wegmans. That's the name of it, in Ithaca, New York, in June. And I said, I have to buy this. And the person I was with, she said it was too hot when she drank it. It was too hot, you know, too alcoholic. And that's what they're saying on their website. You could age it 10 years and then it won't be so hot. 11.3. Oh, okay. Here's the last little points here as this video comes to an end. Great American Beer Festival. Guess who won the Big Brewer of the Year award? Miller? No. Coors? No. Molson? No. Anheuser-Busch? No. Pabst Brewing Company. Guess what? Won gold medal for American regular beer, you know, regular American beer. Yeah, that's right. Pabst Blue Ribbon won a gold medal. So maybe they can change the label and say, instead of saying we won a gold medal in 1893 at the World's Fair, they could say we won a gold medal in 2016 at the Great American Beer Festival. I don't know, but I'm sure they're going to be touting it. And then they won some other medals. Rich. It's everything this other one was not. Rich, caramel, malty. It smells like the Roman meal bread that they used to sell, and they still sell, but you can't get it. Ew, how sweet it is. Super weak, super strong. super dull, super rich. Very little character. Endless character. Not boozy. You could drink a six-pack, wouldn't feel it. You're going to feel this when you halfway through the bottle. And if you drink two, you got my sympathy. You really have my sympathies. This is intense. I could guzzle it. Wouldn't dream of it. It's got a lot of hop character. Think about that. 75 IBUs. It's bitter. It's almost like you saying, don't say it. Don't you say it. It's, yeah, I know. I won't. I was going to say it's almost like a double or triple IPA. Thank goodness I didn't bring that up. The body is not as heavy as you might first believe. It's on the dry side, not crisp, though. The drinkability is dangerously and seductive. If you're looking to get in trouble, this would be one to get you into trouble. But you better be ready to pay. I mean, but, you know, really, that's not a lot. What, $13 plus tax? 12 something, 12, whatever, plus tax for a six-pack of this exquisite item. I mean, this beer, it's outstanding. It's an A+, but some people might argue world class, but it is dynamite, dynamite. Can a big brewer make exceptional beers? Like a big brewer like Pabst? They sure can. Of course, they contracted with somebody to make it for them. But, of course, they can do it on their own. Miller makes the Big Eddie series over there in Wisconsin. Those are those ultra gourmet Leinenkugel's beers. You know, Leinenkugel's, they can be kind of blah. But they have Big Eddie, and they're not blah. They're far from blah. If you see Miller 64 and you got money you're looking to get rid of, well, go ahead and buy it. If you see this beer, Burton Ale, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Did I say buy it? Age some of it. I didn't age any. I gave away one. I gave away two because Mike Pawpaw wanted one. Then he did a review, and then gave one to David. So that leaves 4. I'm drinking one here, so there's 3 others to drink. Wonderful product. So this is the interesting part of the beer adventure. Okay, Miller 64 was interesting in the sense that it's a brand that exists. I researched it. I read about it. It's water, barley malt, hops, yeast, or hop extract, you know, dextrose syrup. People drink it. I can't understand why. But this one here, it's not just brand research. It's fascinating. Been around for 80 years, over 80 years. And it should be more widely available. Pabst should not be holding this back. They should not be holding back Heileman's Special Export. Every store in America should be getting Heileman's Special Export. Another beer that was introduced in the mid-30s as a specialty item, a Dortmunder Export lager. But then you can't get it. Okay, it makes no sense. All right, well, anyway, thank you for watching this video production. Sorry we didn't have a gang of people. I can't control that. And I plan to be around with regular old recorded videos also. And so next week, Michelob Ultra Amber. All right, thank you. Good night.